Hello everyone and welcome back to Lucky Loaders 15, where I'll be giving you 5 of my best bets for tomorrow's racing. Now before we get stuck into those, I just want to apologise for not giving you much to write home about today. The only thing of any profit for us was our lay of the day, which came in the feature race at Leopardstown, the Group 3 Blue Win Stakes, where we decided to put up as our lay of the day Emma Grace. She was one of the leading favourites for the race for Dermot Weld. Probably what went against her was the ground, and she probably needed the run as well. A lot of Dermot Weld horses haven't been firing, the yard aren't in great form, so it was definitely always going to be one to take on. I actually took her on with my Nap Snow for Aidan O'Brien, who had a bit of a strange drift. She went out to 8-1 in the end. I tipped her up at 4-1 last night. I couldn't see why, but she ran a fairly good race, I thought. She couldn't have given any more. She finished in second place, just went down fighting. I think the name of the winner was One Voice, but still, nevertheless, you know, it was still a very good performance, and I really like her attitude, and I think maybe going up in trip will help her too. She's actually a full sister, I think, to Kew Garden, so it suggests maybe that she might want even further up in trip, and I'm sure she's going to be very capable of maybe collecting a Group 3 or a listed race later on down the year. Don't think she's potentially Group 1 material, but she's definitely worth another shot in Patent Company. I thought she ran a really good race, and that's the way it goes sometimes, you know. So it's always hard to keep maintaining good form, you know, but last week we were in good form at Royal Ascot, and before that we've done pretty well in June, and you can see a profit and loss record of everything I've been doing in the description box below. I've been calculating all my bets, so definitely keep an eye out for it if you're into all that kind of stuff. But also as well, I should say, with our lay, that's now our 4th consecutive lay bet that we've taken on. And some of you might be going, oh, like, why are you doing these lay bets for? You know, like if you actually play along on the Betfair exchange, you can make some good profit out of it. And it's not like I've been taking on complete outsiders. The average Betfair price before today, I haven't added it in yet, but at the current time recording and before today, I think the average price was 3.16, which if you're not familiar with that, that's around about averaging a 9-4 shot, you know. So I'm taking on 9-4 shots most of the time, and I'm getting them right. So that's really good. And like I said, we've now had 4 in a row. You obviously, from now and again, if you're going to be taking on 2-1 9-4 shots, you are going to call them wrong sometimes. They are going to win, but if you can keep doing it and sharing it in the long run, it's definitely going to be a way of making profit. So I think doing this late is a good idea, and it's something I'm going to keep up. But away from that, the 2 other tips that ran for us were Elegant Erin at Kempton. Ran a bit of a messy race, I thought. She was squeezed, I thought, possibly towards the inside, just coming in the home straight, but she was no match for the winner, Cognac, you know, who won very well on his seasonal reappearance, and I think he's definitely going to be one for Mark Johnston to follow throughout the season. But Elegant Erin, maybe against her own sex, she's definitely going to be winning races. I still think she's very visibly well treated off her mark, and you never know, the handicapper might drop her a pound or 2 down for that effort, even though she wasn't that far beaten in the grand scheme of things for the level of the race. But yeah, that's how Elegant Erin ran. And then with our final tip, which actually was our first tip of the day, I should have said, was True Blue Moon at Redcar for Tim Easterby, making his 2nd stable start for him. I actually thought he ran all right, considering there was a massive drift on him. I think I put him up at 12-1 each way last night. He ended up going off at 28-1, but he wasn't that far beaten. He finished in 6th place, but there was only 2 lengths between pretty much the winner and himself, and he actually lost a shoe in the running, and that can definitely be a valid excuse. But it was a warm race, but I was willing to take him with a chance, you know, because I still think he does have some ability, and he's definitely one to put in the tracker, you know. And again, he might get dropped a pound or 2, and his last win came last year at Bellewstown off a mark of 86, so you got to think he's still fairly well treated, and that was the first time today in his career that he'd even tackled 7 furlongs. He's by Holy Roman Emperor, and on his downside he's got a lot of stamina, so it suggests that going up in trip is probably what he's been crying out for. And if you actually go back through a lot of his form last season, even though he's shown it over the sprint trips of 5 and 6 furlongs that he's a fairly capable operator, sometimes he's been staying on strongly in the closing stages, or been outpaced and then been staying on again. So it is quite baffling, really, why Joseph O'Brien and Johnny Murtagh, when he was over in Ireland, they didn't feel the need to maybe step him up to 7 furlongs or a mile, where clearly in its pedigree he could be capable of running at a good standard in those races, and it was definitely worth experimenting with him. But I think he will have his day sometime in the summer. I could see him maybe winning maybe next time out possibly, or the time after that. You know, he's definitely one to not give up on, and I think, like I said, he'll be going in anytime soon. He's definitely overdue a win. But enough of me talking about our losses today. We'll get into the thick end of things tomorrow with my 5 tips. And we're going to be starting off with my lay tomorrow, which comes in the 1:30 at Roscommon. Now, the horse that's going to be my lay of the day here is a horse trained by Johnny Murtagh, and Shane B. Kelly is but for the ride, and that is Laggata, who you can currently lay at the current time of recording at 4.1 on the Betfair exchange. Now, Johnny Murtagh's team, everybody knows, if anyone's been following racing over in Ireland in the last week or so, that his team have been in flying form, and rightly so. Probably they've come to the conclusion that this horse has got a leading chance because of his yard's form. But I think this filly, I should say, because she's a filly, I think she's too short. Because if you actually go back through her form, it's not, even though she won runs, it's not that good to suggest that she could improve a bundle. I didn't think she was that good in her performance at Leopardstown when she finished 4th. She was 66-1 that day, which shows that there wasn't a lot of confidence behind her. And if you actually look at the race tomorrow, she's going to be drawn in stall 15, which at Roscommon is not ideal. That's very wide, and it's quite a sharp turning track. And really, she's going to be up against it from her draw tomorrow. And in this race as well, you've got representatives from Harrington, J. Lyons, Dermot Weld, Billy McCreary. You know, you've got a lot of top yards represented in this race, with some horses that could easily improve. Now, this Laggata, I just think there's a lot against her tomorrow, and at the prices, which on a normal sporting betting price, she's actually 5-2, but 4.1 on the Betfair exchange. That is her current price, and that represents that you can lay her for just over 3-1. But yeah, I think this horse on paper should be at least a 7-1, 8-1 chance. I could see her being really weak in the market tomorrow, and I'm not going to recommend her at the moment, but if the market's weak behind her, definitely try and lay her for a place if you can. But for the current time being, she's just going to be a win lay bet just for the win. But yeah, if she does drift out tomorrow, look at that place lay market, because I think there's definitely some profit to be had out of it tomorrow. I'm not convinced about this horse tomorrow at all. And like I said, if I was going to get stuck into the race, I would be looking at some of the other contenders. I think it's far too competitive. She's far too short for what she's shown so far. And with, like I said, the wide draw against her, yeah, definitely want to be swerving her. Anyway, enough of the lay. We then go to the 4:15 at Ayr, where I'm going with my long shot tomorrow with a horse called Ishvara for Robert Cow and Johnny Egan. Now, this is Robert Cow's only runner in the UK tomorrow, which is of interest, and they're going all the way up to Ayr, I think he's based down in Newmarket. Robert Cow, could be wrong, possibly Lambourne, but I think he's Newmarket. And this horse, anyway, is going to be travelling a long way all the way up to Scotland for their first day of racing since the resumption of racing here in the UK. Now, this horse is going to be getting the 3-year-old fillies allowance tomorrow, which will help, so she'll be getting weight from some of the older horses. But her form from her last performance has worked out really well, because this horse won on 40-1 on her seasonal reappearance at Haydock, but the form has worked out well. I'll just go through some of the horses that have boosted the form. Probably the main one you would say is Dancing in the Street for William Haggis. Now, this horse was the eye catcher of the week when he finished 3rd in the Palace of Holyrood Handicap, behind the likes of Art Power and Keep Busy, 2 horses that look like they're definitely pattern company anyway. Art Power could be a Group 1 horse, Keep Busy is definitely a listed horse. So that was definitely a good effort by Ishvara to beat Dancing in the Street. And Dancing in the Street was one of the eye catchers, like I said, of Royal Ascot. If you actually go through further down the form, Garsman for the Horse Watchers, Martin and Chris Dixon from Racing TV, I've got something to do with this horse. This Garsman went and won at Newmarket the other week. So again, that's another level of form been boosted. And I just think this horse tomorrow, in what looks a fairly weakish listed race. I think it revolves round the Michael Dodd's two in the market, but Michael Dodd's stable haven't been in good form. I think they're 1 from 40, but Robert Cow's team have been going along okay. They've had 5 winners from, I think it's 25 runners, something like that, in the last fortnight or so. So they're in fair form, and it says a lot that they're going all the way up here tomorrow to try and land some black type with her. And at 12 to 1, I think she's a crazy price, and especially with the form being boosted and working out well, the 3-year-old filly's allowance as well, you know, she's got a cracking chance, I think, at 12 to 1, and that's why she's going to be my long shot. And I wouldn't be at all surprised if there was a little bit of support for her tomorrow. She maybe could go off maybe 6, 7 to 1. I think she's definitely not worth being a 12 to 1 chance, and I think she represents a good bit of value. We then go to my nap, which comes in the 5:20 at air with a horse called Club Wexford for Callum Rodriguez and Roger Fell. And the Roger Fell team, they've not had too many winners, but their horses are running okay. And this horse has been a bit of a veteran, really, you can call him now. He's probably in the twilight years of his career, but he still keeps giving his all. He still runs really well, and he's got a great record at air. He's won there quite a few times in his career, 9 years old now. But his seasonal reappearance was a very warm race. It was actually his first appearance on the all-weather, so you can definitely forgive him that. But the first 3 in the race, Sabaska, Dark Vision and 5th Position, have all won, because Sabaska was a winner at Royal Ascot last week. Dark Vision won the Royal Hunt Cup, and then 5th Position won at Doncaster. So it was a really warm race he ran in. And going back to his beloved air and dropping in grade, I think he's got a good chance tomorrow. He's a horse that likes to be prominent, he likes to get from the front, and if he's given an easy soft lead tomorrow, he might just have too much toe for some of these horses, and he could be hard to pare back. And at 4 to 1, I think that represents a good bit of value, you know. And yeah, I think with the form being boosted, you know, and his great course record, he's definitely worth a poke at 4 to 1, and that's why he's going to be my nap tomorrow. I really think he's the one that they've all got to beat. And even though there are maybe 1 or 2 unexposed types in here that could develop further, Club Wexford, you know what you're going to get. The form's good. I think there's a lot to like about him, and that's why, like I said, he is going to be my nap tomorrow. We then go to the evening card at Windsor. We're going to go with my Loaders Extra here, so this will go in the extra column of my tips in the 6:30 with a horse called Iconic Night for Luke Morris and Ed Walker. Now this horse has already had a reappearance run under his belt, ran okay when he finished 5th on the all-weather at Lingfield, and he's actually meeting a few of his rivals from that race tomorrow. And he was actually quite badly hampered. He was a bit unlucky maybe to not get a bit closer in the places. He could have maybe finished in the first 3 if he hadn't got hampered. But going back to Windsor tomorrow, I should see him in good light. He's now down to a mark of 74, and he was finishing 2nd in warmer contests in this at Windsor and Ascot last season off a mark of 78. So that mark of 74 looks fairly good. He's won at the course twice before as well. And even though he's drawn wide in stall 14, a lot of the horses at Windsor, I noticed the other day, were coming towards the middle or the far side. That's where they were finishing strongly, and I don't think that's a bad thing at all tomorrow. There's a lot of horses in here that would like to make the run in, and I could just see Iconic Night tracking the pace, coming with a late competitive run, and at 10 to 1 with some firms paying the 4 places, I think that represents a great bit of value. And for me, I think he's definitely going to run a massive race tomorrow, and he's definitely a major each-way player. So that's why I'm putting him up in the 6:30 at Windsor. We then end with my next best, which runs in the 8 o'clock at Windsor. This is a nice little competitive race, but I thought Grand Bazaar here could have quite a lot of potential. He's by Golden Horn, who John Gosden did very well with, Epsom Derby winner, I believe, and Arc winner before my time. But yeah, this horse, I think, going up in trip is going to help him. He ran quite well, I thought, at Goodwood when he was joint favourite. I think he was joint favourite for the race, or he's even favourite. But yeah, he bumped into Tulip Fields at Goodwood on his handicap debut, and Tulip Fields went and won at Newmarket the weekend, so the form's looking quite good there. And he's got some strong form as a 2-year-old on the all-weather. He was against the likes of First Receiver, who finished 2nd at Royal Ascot last week, you know. So the form that he's demonstrated so far suggests that a mark of 77 should be well in his capabilities. Now, I know Roger Varian's got a runner in tomorrow, and Alan King's going to have a runner in tomorrow as well. Both stables are in good form, but so is John Gosden, to be fair to him. I think he's operating at around about 30% strike rate, and he's had a lot of runners. But I think this Grand Bazaar, you know, I think he's definitely going to improve. Golden Horn never came into his own as a 3-year-old, you know. He wasn't a precocious 2-year-old. And I think the further this horse goes, the better. And like I said, I would be disappointed if off a mark of 77 he couldn't be competitive and have a bit more scope to offer. So for me, in what looks a tight race, I think he represents a fair bit of value at 5-2, but I could see him, if the money does come down for him, maybe going off maybe 15.08, possibly 6-4. I could see him being that kind of price in a race like this, but I think 5-2 represents a little bit of value, and that's why he's going to be my next best, and he's just going to be a win only bet. So they're my 5 tips for tomorrow's racing. I will quickly recap that, because I know some of you like to know what the final selections are. So in the 1:30 at Roscommon, Laggata at 4.1 on the Betfair exchange is my lay of the day. In the 4:15 at Air, Ishvara at 12-1 each way is my long shot. My nap comes in the 5:20 at Air with Club Wexford for Roger Fell, 4-1 win bet. We then go to Windsor in the 6:30 with Iconic Night, 10-1 each way with 4 places. And then we end with my next best in the 8 o'clock at Windsor with Grand Bazaar going for John Gosden at 5-2. So if you haven't done so already, please make sure you hit the thumbs up button, and also as well subscribe to my YouTube channel. I really appreciate all the support I'm getting at the moment. You can all follow me on Twitter as well, where my handle is at LuckyLoaders15. And if you want to know more about myself and check out a full portfolio of my work, go to my website, which is www.chrisloaderracing.co.uk. It's all in the description box below, so make sure you check it out if you haven't done so already. But please gamble responsibly. Hopefully we can have some winners tomorrow, and we'll be seeing you soon.